welcome to the show. And this is a big one today. Geoff Tate, formerly of Queensryche. He's had an amazing career. He's sold millions of records, toured the world, and he's got a new project that he's promoting right now called Sweet Oblivion. And he's been doing a lot of interviews. So, of course, I got to stand out. And I got to ask him the stuff that no one else is asking him. And, I think I had some mixed results. So sometimes, you just click with a guest, like I did when I had Joey Allen on. And sometimes you don't click. And I think this is one of those instances where we didn't click as well. And I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit of a rough interview. But I think there was still some good insight into some of the music. And he had a few good stories. So I'm going to post this episode, warts and all, unedited with all my gaffes and my mistakes. So enjoy it. Okay, welcome, Geoff Tate, to my little podcast here. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you've got an amazing musical career, but I didn't know that you actually wanted to be a football player. Is that true until you blew your knee out?
No.
Really?
Not at all.
That's total BS.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the last time I played football, I was like 12 years old or something.
Really? Okay. Weird. That is Wikipedia. Sometimes they're just totally full of it then. Well, so tell me about...
you got that from Wikipedia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Wikipedia is full of inaccuracies because anybody can just write whatever they want on there,
That's true. Yeah. That's interesting.
Even when you go on and edit it and change it, people write, the same stuff back again.
Right. Well, so this is true though, that because I think I heard you say this. Did you play in an ELP tribute band in 1978?
No.
That's not true either?
Band. They didn't have tribute bands in 1978.
Well, but you played in cover bands. I
played in cover bands, yeah, all the way up until Queensryche was signed.
Okay. Well, what was the first song you wrote? I think that you said that was around 1979. Do you remember what that song was?
Oh, no. I think I have somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 songs that I've written in my lifetime, and the first 100 to 150 are throwaway things, that you use later on bits and pieces of to make something else with. They're kind of like beginner songs, I guess you say.
Okay. So what memories, because I've interviewed a lot of musicians, obviously like on the Sunset Strip, and there's all these stories of the clubs there, but I mean, you're actually from my hometown of Seattle. What memories do you have of playing the Seattle music scene in the late 70s, early 80s? Like, what clubs did you play? What was it like? Did you play the Off-Ramp, the Crocodile, or what other clubs were there?
They didn't exist then.
Oh, they didn't even exist then?
No. There was very limited music venues here in Seattle at that time. And the only time I played, I played in a cover band, so we played two places, basically, the Lake Hills roller rink and a place called the End Zone. And that was it. And then after that, you had, cocktail lounges and bars and things like that. But they wouldn't hire bands that played original music. They just were interested in cover bands, to playing, Hall & Oates and, whatever's popular at the time,
Mm-hmm. But that's what you wanted to do, was original music. And that's why originally you didn't want to be in Queensryche, because they were originally called the Mob and they were a cover band. Then they made this EP and then you sang on that. And then the EP kind of blew up, right? Because I think I heard somebody...
Well, let's clarify that.
Okay.
Because that's incorrect too. The band that became Queensryche was originally called the Mob, which I was in. Mm-hmm. The Mob was a cover band, and we played a handful of shows at the two venues that I mentioned earlier, Lake Hills roller rink and the End Zone. At that point, I was very much interested in working with people that were interested in making original music. So I said, look, I'm going to go do some other projects. I'm not so much interested in playing cover songs. So I went my separate way. And about a year later, Chris DeGarmo came to me, who later became the guitar player in Queensryche, came to me and said, hey, look, we've recorded a demo of some of our song ideas. Would you be interested in maybe working with us on this? And I listened to the 3 songs that they had written and liked them and said, yeah, let's write another one on our own to see if, we can write together. And which we did, which is the song Lady Wore Black. And then I worked with them to record what became the Queensryche EP. When we were getting ready to release the EP under our own record label, which we started with our management, it was called 206 Records. They came to us and said, look, you can't use the name The Mob. Somebody's already has that. You need to find a new name for the band. And at that point is when we came up with the name Queensryche. And we became Queensryche, issued our first EP on 206 Records, sold a lot of records, which gained the interest of the major labels, and we kind of got to pick who we wanted to go with at that point. And then we went with EMI Records, and they re-released our EP on EMI with the added bonus track at the time.
Yeah, that's cool. And then you have the Warning and the Rage for Order albums. Tell me this story, though. I heard you tell this story. I want my listeners to hear this one. You're 24 years old. You're doing a show in Finland with Bon Jovi, and you're going over this ferry. You maybe had a few drinks, and then the next day you've got to go through customs. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah, vividly. Yeah, well, I had more than a few drinks. I had been drinking for a day and a half, and yeah, I was incredibly hungover as we crossed the border, which was I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Basically because of what happened next. I got pulled out and singled out and taken into a very cold concrete room, and was ordered by the biggest, most giant men that I've ever seen in my life. All of them were well over 6'5", and they were dressed in like white fatigues with machine guns, and they were very intimidating, especially in my state of mind at that point, very hungover. And they ordered me to strip naked and bend over a steel table that was in the middle of the room, which I did, and expecting the worst. And then they let the dogs in to sniff around.
Oh, God. Like they thought you were smuggling something.
They thought I was definitely smuggling something, yeah. I guess that's what they thought. I have no clue what they thought, because they couldn't speak English, and
sure,
I couldn't speak Finnish.
That's crazy. That's a horrific memory, though. But I mean, I guess you can kind of laugh about it now because you made it through.
Yeah, time plus tragedy equals comedy, right?
Mm-hmm. I like that. So the third album, Operation Mindcrime. I mean, I don't know what I can say about this. I've heard you in so many interviews talking about it. Is there? I know that one thing is it's one of the first digital albums ever made. Is there anything else that people maybe don't know about that album that hasn't already been covered?
Well, there's probably all kinds of different things about the album, the recording experience, the state of the world at the time. Yeah, there's lots of different things. It was a turning point record for the band. Making the record was very enjoyable. Working with Peter Collins and James Barton and Paul Northrup at the time, a great production team that we went on to use James and Peter on several other records after that, because we really clicked and had a great rapport, really. But yeah, it was a fun experience. We recorded it in several studios, a haunted building in Philadelphia area. That was at one time a water mill. It was on a creek or a river, and that was a very weird place. It was like an old building that had been erected in like the 1600s or something, and some enterprising young people put studio gear in there and made it into a studio. And so that's where we did the basic tracks of the Mindcrime album. The drums and bass were done there, and then I think some rhythm guitars. And then we transferred up to Montreal and did the rest of the record up there. which was working at Rush's studio, the studio in Morin Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful place to work.
Is that important to you to have that kind of vibe when you're recording to kind of help with the vibe of the record, it being like kind of a cool building like that, rather than just some, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's if you're going to be in a space, for all day and all night for months on end, yeah, it helps to be in a place that you find inspiring or that's interesting, and hopefully someplace with windows that you can see outside and not some dark hole. Like I don't know if you've ever been to like a band rehearsal studio that they have in some cities. They're always like some derelict building that are so filthy and disgusting, and you sit in this concrete room with a light bulb hanging there in the middle of the room and blast away your songs for hours on end to rehearse. You don't want to be in a place like that.
Okay, good to know. But yes, because in Empire, your other big album, a lot of that was recorded in Vancouver, but the song Empire and a few other tracks that would later show up in the bonus tracks they were recorded in Redmond. So why do you record in different places? Explain that to me.
Well, at the time, this is 30 years ago, you had to go to a place that could accommodate what you were looking to do musically, a place that had the equipment that you needed to do what you needed to do. And recording studios at that time were very specific. They had specific gear, specific console. Or in the case of the Warning album that we did with James Guthrie, James was a Londoner and he didn't want to leave London, so he wanted to be at home and, sleep in his own bed every night, which I completely understand now. And we didn't have any problem at that point. All of us were young men, and we transferred over to London and lived there for most of the year making that album. But nowadays, of course, all that's changed and it's different. It's the 21st century, and you can record anywhere you want, and most of the records we do nowadays, or at least I do, I work with international musicians who live in different places, and we all work in our own personal studios and then put the music together on session files that we pass around worldwide. Each person that's contributing to the song will record their part, and what they're doing, and then we put it all together. So it's become like a virtual studio now,
Yeah.
Which is great because then you can be in the comfort of your own design studio, your workspace that you find creative and comfortable, and work from there rather than, picking up and moving house to some place you're going to sit in some room for 8 months,
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So that Empire record, I heard you say that EMI, they knew there was something there. There was a hit on the record. There's a lot of good songs, really. Is it true they threw $6 million in marketing costs? That seems like a lot even for back then.
I believe that was the number. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what it takes, to have a commercially viable record. Even in today's market, they have to throw millions of records to get, airplay and coverage and publicity and all that.
Yeah. So many good songs on that. One of my favorites is There Anybody Listening? I feel like there was a story behind this song. I'm sure there is, and I feel like I maybe knew it at one point, but now I've forgotten. Remind me what that song is about.
I honestly don't remember what it's about.
I don't either then. Yeah. Okay. So
I think music means different things to different people, really. And I think you kind of, paint yourself into a corner when you go about trying to explain what it is you're trying to say, with a piece of music. I think it should just be what it is and people interpret the way they interpret it,
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I think, and you have so many songs like that can be interpreted differently. But so around this time in the early 90s, obviously Seattle music scene is blowing up. I just had Kevin Martin from Candlebox on last week, and he said that there was no camaraderie with the Seattle bands. Do you agree with that? Or did you have any interactions with Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains and those kinds of bands?
Well, I wasn't here for that time. I was on the road. And the only interaction I had with other bands from Seattle is if they were touring with us, which was the case with Soundgarden. They toured with us. And yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if I wasn't part of the club scene or the Seattle scene at the time in the 90s. We were busy working in other places, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then
Kevin would know more than I would because he was here, you know.
yeah, that's just what he told. I was just curious what your take on that. But and then your other album, Promised Land, that was kind of because that was like 4 years later after Empire. And you had said that you thought, you guys were going to get together on this remote island and have these deep conversations and be engulfed in creativity, but that didn't really happen. It was more just you and Chris writing and then the other guys coming in to do their parts. But you are happy with the way that turned out, right?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite Queensryche records.
Yeah, no, I think so too. It's one of my favorites, and I remember because those songs were on Seattle radio a lot. Like I feel like half the songs on that record were on Seattle radio all the time.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and then but here in the Now Frontier, you worked on that album for a year and a half, and then you toured for 10 days, and then the label went out of business, and then Chris DeGarmo quits the band. So is that just kind of a perfect storm of disasters with that one?
Yeah. Well, that's the a typical career with most bands and musicians. I think, one, it's very difficult to keep a band together for any length of time. And
Yeah,
I felt like with Queensryche, we had 30 years where we made music and toured, and I think we made some great music, some great albums, and definitely left our mark, you know. And that's like 4 times as long as most bands stay together. So I feel good about that. And I guess what I was trying to say was that most bands have to weather these incredible storms, as you would say, of things going wrong. I mean, when you think about it, we lost our management in '87. We got new management shortly after that. We've been on many different record companies because record companies go out of business. You know, there was a huge shakeup. I don't know if you remember this, but when the downloading started, you know, that gutted the industry. Absolutely, 80% loss in income. You know, that's huge. And of course, you know, the government didn't step in to subsidize our industry like they would other industries. For some odd reason, I guess they don't think that music matters, you know. Anyway, so yeah, you have to be light on your feet and able to, you know, change directions and work to get past the difficulties that are thrown at you, you know, because it ain't easy. When we released Here in the Now Frontier, we had all personally, you know, invested everything we had into the tour and the show and, you know, getting everything set up. It's an enormous amount of money to put a tour on. And normally, you know, we would have toured for 12 months to 18 months, you know, on a record cycle. And that one just got completely waylaid, you know, and we all lost everything. And, you know, we had to somehow come back from that, you know, and we did, you know, later on without Chris, we carried on and made, I don't know, 8, 9 more albums, you know, something like that. So, yeah, I mean, you just try to keep going, you know, and do it. Which I think, you know, that's one of the things I highly respect about Queensryche was that we did that. You know, we just didn't give up and quit, you know, when the going got tough, you know.
Did you say that like you wanted to quit the band though as far back as 1990? You had thoughts of maybe leaving.
Yeah, well, it was always a difficult situation to be part of, and at some point, you know, you definitely get worn down, and you think, you know, maybe it'd be better if I just did something different, you know. And then, you know, you look at the success that the band has and the lifestyle you lead, and you sort of balance it. I go, well, you know, I'd probably suffer for a few years when I got myself together. Do I really want to do that? You know?
Yeah. That's
You
true. But then,
justify it. Mhm.
yeah. So did you feel like the 2011 album, Dedicated to Chaos, that was some of your best work? Everyone was involved. And you recommend that's where people should start. If they've never heard of that band, they should start with that out. And it's interesting because I listened to that today, and a lot of the songs are very it's eclectic. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think Queensryche is eclectic.
I guess so. Yeah, but that one especially, don't you think, or no?
I don't know. I'm not a good. Well, I don't know why you'd have to judge it anyway.
Yeah, true, true. But you
It
say
is what
that's
it
where
is.
people should start with the band to
Well, I
check that
think
one out.
I think the question was posed to me: where should somebody start if they've
Yeah.
never heard of Queensryche? And I think that's a good place to start from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good sounding record, and it's got a lot of interesting songs, and it's really the album I feel that has the most band effort on it. Everybody was writing and contributing for that album, and it's really, if you want to say, well, what is Queensryche? That's the album that is Queensryche,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody was part of it. It wasn't just like one or two people leading it and writing for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so speaking of sounding good, I listened to your latest project here, the Sweet Oblivion stuff, and the
Mhm.
production and the musicianship. I mean, it's so amazing that it's kind of like you said, like now you can make these albums. I feel like 30 years ago, this thing would have cost millions of dollars, but it sounds great. And you guys did this overseas, right? Sending tracks, right?
Well, that's a weird way to put it, but it's you work together, but you do it in different places. You know, just like you and I are having this conversation, but we're
Mm-hmm.
in completely different places. It's no different than that. Although I'm sending you a file and you're adding it to the master session and you're listening to it and going, oh, I like that a lot. Hey, what if I do this to it? And you
Mm-hmm.
play something on it and send it back to me, and I go, oh no, that's horrible. Don't do that. Do this.
Yeah. So you're doing it via Zoom then? You're doing it like this?
Well, we don't have to use Zoom except for uh, at various times. We want to actually see each other for some reason, but most of the time it's just you send the file you're working on and you follow it with a text and go, hey, check out 1 minute 16 seconds. I did this kind of different thing to it. What do you think? And they send back their text. Oh, I like it a lot. Yeah, I think you should do it again on Bridge 4.
Yeah. So tell me about the musicians that you have in this project. Because isn't this the thing where like Frontier kind of set it up and you just,
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked them to. When Queensryche, when my time with Queensryche was ended, I was looking to do different projects and work with different people because I'd been working with basically the same people for 30 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking with Mario at Frontier and I said, look, I want to do something different. And I'd like to work with different producers, different musicians. If you see any project that comes across your desk, or if you hear of anything, can you let me know? And he said, yeah, I'll keep you in mind for that. So, gosh, maybe a couple of years went by and he called me and said, hey, I've got this idea for a project and this is what it is. And, I'll send you over some of the rough ideas that these guys are working with and see what you think, and that pretty much started it off, really.
Mm. Yeah, no, it's great. And I love the song. Is it called Aria? Is that how I say it? Like it's you sing
Aria.
in Italian. Mm-hmm. Would you ever
Yeah.
do that live?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that would be fun. So with writing songs, I heard you say that you read this book called The Artist's Way. And this was interesting. The book's advice said to leave a song undone, like leave it till tomorrow so that you have something to start with. But don't you think you might lose some of that, momentum?
What do you mean?
Well, like if you're in the middle of writing something, why, like it tells you to stop it. So then, but what if you forget what you were writing, or do you have to like write notes or so? How does that work?
Well, if you're writing a melodic progression, there's always the resolve note or the resolve phrase.
Okay.
That's pretty much what that's going to be from years of training, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what that's going to be, and you just wait to do it till the next day, so you can start somewhere. So basically, the exercise is so that uh, you're not looking at a blank piece of paper when you start out, because that's the hardest thing, is coming up with an idea. You already have an idea that's in place. Now it just needs to be finished off, and then you finish it.
Do you write like music, like you actually write it out by hand, or do you write with a recorder or on a keyboard, or how do you typically write songs?
Well, my instrument is piano, so that's what everything is, a piano composition to start with. In fact, almost every song I've ever wrote or been part of writing started out on piano or acoustic guitar, because those are two really great instruments to compose with, because you don't have to think too much about it. It's very simple. Oh, it's a A to G sharp progression, and that gives you your sketch or your outline in order to build your melody on. And then once you have a chord progression and a melody, you got 99% of the song.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so in all these years in the music business, was there ever any offers for you to join other bands that you turned down, or did you ever try out for any like big name bands?
No, not really.
You just like doing what you're doing. Do you like Sweet Oblivion more than the solo thing because you're collaborating with other musicians?
I enjoy both, really. Yeah, both of them. I like doing different things, and I have a lot of interest in a lot of subjects, and music gives me a real emotional satisfaction. It's emotionally satisfying. I feel like when you write a song, you're taking all these little bits and pieces, like the hi-hat rhythm mixed with the bass guitar, and your keyboard part and your guitar part, and all these individual things you're mixing together to form one big emotional presentation, and
Yeah.
I think that's very satisfying. I get very satisfied with the detail of it all.
Yeah, so you like more creating, because I think I heard you say you don't listen to music very much and you don't watch TV. You'd rather just either have quiet thoughts to yourself, or do you like to read?
Yeah, I pretty much read newspapers, like current events. I guess nobody reads newspapers anymore, but I read the news a lot.
Okay. So that's kind of, but you don't watch movies or TV, and you don't really listen to other people's music very much.
No, I watch movies. I just
movies.
don't watch, television, with all the commercials and all that,
Okay, fair enough. And then you have tell me about your winery that you have. You have your own wine brand. You still doing that?
Yeah. Sania is the wine brand. We make a red and a white, Pinot Noir and a Pinot Grigio. And they are made in a small village in southwest Germany on the French-German border, an area called Alsace. And wonderful grape growing region. And we make wine every year, and we have a big harvest festival party every October, which typically I play a set at, and we invite all these other musicians to come in and play as well. And it's all free and fun. And it's kind of getting bigger than it started. So the town is starting to, there's only so many hotels to stay in, so they sell out really quick,
Okay.
So the town is now probably going to start regulating us in some manner, but we always invite the mayor. So as long as the mayor is like, having fun, we're okay.
That sounds fun. What other bands show up?
So mostly people that I know and played with. I played with this band called Avantasia. It's a very well-known band in Europe, and they've come. Gosh, I don't know who else. A lot of my Irish musician friends come. It's a fun time.
Yeah. Are you friends with Mike Patton from Faith No More? Because he's such a
No.
fascinating. Well, but you said that you're similar to him because you guys both enjoy so many different kinds of music. Because he's got so many different projects going on.
Well, I think what people are asking me a comparative question, and I brought up him because he is probably the most relatable to what I do. Although we're not friends, I've never really met him, just in passing at various events and on tour and that kind of thing.
Well, so speaking of other events, so I think I heard you say that you did see Queensryche with Todd, the new singer, and they were kind of shocked to see you. Like, so that's cool. Are you guys able to be cordial then? Like, or did that go okay? I mean, they seemed kind of shocked to see you.
Yeah, I think perhaps because they probably weren't expecting me. I wasn't on the bill, as my name. I was performing with Avantasia, so they probably weren't expecting me to be there,
But you thought he sounded very similar to you.
Oh yeah, he sounds just like me. It's amazing.
Yeah. And you have over 20 albums. Is it 20 albums or 21 albums of material that you have to draw from? Would you ever mix it up in your sets and do some deep tracks from your back catalog?
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Is there anything that you're thinking to throw into the next tour that you do?
Oh yeah.
You don't want to tell us though yet. Surprise?
Well, yeah, of course.
Is there one that fans really like want to hear from? Or
I'm getting yanked out of the interview now.
Okay.
I hope we're wrapping up because I do have to go. I have a whole slew of interviews I have to do.
Okay,
today.
sure. Just real quick, tell me about the book that you're writing. Are you still writing that book?
Oh yeah, it's the life story, so the life is still going on.
Okay,
so it'll be a while.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I do like to end each episode with a charity. Is there one that's near and dear to your heart, or a charity that you want to promote here at the end?
Well, I donate quite heavily to a charity called Mercy Watch, which is a fascinating group of people who organize medical help and mental health help for people that are homeless or experiencing homelessness. And they're a wonderful organization. They actually go out on the streets with real doctors and honestly help people. It's a wonderful group.
Okay, great. Well, I'll put that in the notes and I'll put your website in there so people can check for tour dates and all that stuff.
Excellent.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Geoff.
Thanks, Chuck. Enjoyed it, man. Take care.
All right, take it easy. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Again, not my greatest interview, but they can't all be home runs, right? So hopefully you enjoyed some of Geoff's stories and insight into some of his music. He definitely seems like a very mysterious guy, very intelligent and complex, and maybe I just didn't have the right questions for this interview. So maybe we'll try it again when the next album comes out. But make sure to check out Geoff's new Sweet Oblivion album, Relentless, and his website for tour dates, or follow him on social media. Check out some of my other episodes. I promise I do a better job in my other episodes. And I think I have over 130 episodes and counting. So lots of great stuff there. Thank you so much for listening and taking the time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And remember, shoot for the moon.